I forgot to add myself to the show. Yeah, I'm still trying to get used to this new platform. It's not like my other one. But anyway, hi, you guys. It's on a Thursday, and you're like, oh no, didn't we just see her? Are we going to just see her tomorrow? The answer to that question is yes. This is considered as part two of, a two-part Dusty show. We'll have a continuation of Dusty dragging tomorrow with the DNN. But today we're going to talk about something I talked about briefly. I don't know. The show was like an hour at the most on Clubhouse last week about the shift in society. It's real disappointing where men want to be treated. Okay, not only is there like the political push where they're, trying to let themselves be identified as women. That's a whole separate thing. In this instance, we're talking about heterosexual relationships with, someone who identifies as a man and someone who identifies as a woman, and they get together in a romantic partnership and or marriage. What we're having now though is this real shift where the males are looking to be taken care of like, traditionally women were. And it's created some real issues. As we look at the advice column, right, for the last, I don't know, year or two, we've been seeing a lot of that where the women are writing in and they're talking about how, they're the ones making the money, right? The guy is either working some little penny ante job, half working, or not working at all, and they're taking care of, their little princess. Or they have a situation where the guy moves into their house, their apartment, instead of moving into something that he provides for them as a couple and or family. There are also situations where not only does the guy move in, but the woman is paying, for his expenses. He's supposed to pay a half or something. It's like a roommate situation. And in that instance, though, what keeps coming to a head is the number of women who are in these pay half situations, yet they continue to carry the burden of cooking and shopping and doing laundry and taking care of pets. And if they have children together, she's doing that. So she's doing all this stuff, plus she's paying half, like she's, a roommate. And a lot of times these guys make more money than they do, but they're not contributing in an equal share, in proportion to their income. That's if the woman gets any contribution at all. So I just thought it would be a good idea for us to look at this. I'm sure some of you probably have some stories to share. We're going to open up the show today. I'm going to hope that people act right and post the link for you to get in. If you have a comment that you want to make on the air, this is, there we go. That is how you log on. Use the same screen name that you use in the chat. Otherwise, I won't know who you are, right? I'm not going to know who you are. We're not going to let some complete strangers up in here. So, I just see somebody says that was their life. See, that would be interesting to hear. What had happened to it, and why did dude think that was how things were supposed to go? I just don't understand how a man can consider himself a man when he's living off of a woman like that. It all starts, these new things, this new thing where the guys are like, what do you bring to the table? That's such a little bitch ass comment. When they ask that question, you know what you should do, ladies? Like if you're on the phone, you should just hang up. If you're on a date with them, get your purse, get your coat, get your keys in your hand and leave. Because that's some trap. And see, like I had mentioned on the show last week, this is my perception of it. Remember, I don't know, like in the olden quote olden days, which is when I was little, the fathers used to be more in the home and be much more active in their children's lives. So some little boy would come sniffing around, right? And he want to, take you out or talk about he want to marry you and, he want to be your boyfriend and all this old stuff, right? So the parents, primarily the dad, would sit the young man down and say, okay, well, son, what is your plan for my daughter? Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your life. Tell me about your goals, your dreams, your education, what you going to do with yourself. How does my daughter fit into that? And how are you going to protect her and take care of her and any kids that she has? I want to hear all about what you got going on, right? That was the dad's role. And the young man's role was to tell the father how he was going to do that. He's going to take responsibility for that woman that he took as his wife and any children that the two of them made in their union once he took her as his wife. And he knew that he was responsible and had to answer to her, to her father and her family. Well, somehow, I'm not sure when that happened because, I don't know, I can't recall, but it just seems like the guys now are flipping it. So instead of the father asking them what they're going to provide and how they're going to do it, these guys somehow slipped into the female role. And so they're asking the women, well, what are you going to provide to me? How are you going to take care of me? And what's so amazing is women be trying to answer the question. I see them on that clubhouse thing in the rooms talking about what they bring to the table and like trying to run up each other and get the approval of the dusty ass men who are listening to the show. So those men are like, blink their microphones and give them a round of applause or something. It just seems to be really important to a lot of women that they get all this male approval. That ended when MTV came on. Or see, I never watched MTV. I've just never been a big TV watcher, and it just seems like I miss a lot of you know, modern culture kind of things because I just don't pay attention. But it's very disappointing to see that. And then you get a guy who, steps in to be the husband and the father. I mean, he steps into what the woman is going to assume is that role. And then he starts half stepping. And so you have a situation, okay, where there's certain things that have to be done in a household. There's certain things that have to be accomplished to care for children legally before you get brought up on charges. You know what I mean? There's things that you have to do. They have to be done. That's just it. So you're supposed to be in a partnership with this dude, right? It's supposed to be the two of you working together like this to take care of the stuff. Well, all of a sudden he decides he don't want to do nothing or he half stepping and the stuff still has to be done. Like I said, in some instances, you have to answer to the law. And so if these things aren't done and aren't done properly, that you can catch a case. Okay. So, someone has to do these things, especially once you have children. So if the father's not stepping up and doing his part, then that means the mother is going to have to overperform to make sure that those things are done. Then when she's doing that, she's assuming both the father and the mother role. And the guys like to want to, charge her with a problem and say, well, you too masculine. You know, you act like you don't need a man and all this kind of stuff. It's like, dude, you can't have it both ways. Either you step up and you be the man, or you go sit your ass down somewhere and over there and be the little bitch that you are. But you can't be walking around here talking about I'm the man with your chest all poked out, talking about you need submission and all this stuff, and you not performing to the standards of manhood. Okay, you being like bitchhood. Okay, there's a big difference, and you don't get to get the benefits of being the man and the respect and the admiration and the kudos and anything else. You don't get that. The booty, none of it. You don't get none of that stuff. You're not supposed to anyway, unless you are performing up to standard. And that's the problem I'm having with so many women. Their standards for what is supposed to be a man that they're supposed to be in a relationship with are so freaking low that these guys get away with this stuff. And so even though the thumbnail and the title of the show is meant to be funny and poking fun at this kind of dynamic, the bottom line is a lot of women are in marriages and relationships where they're miserable because they can't even relax into their quote femininity because they have to be feminine and masculine. They got to be the man and the woman in the relationship. They're exhausted and they hate those men. So, you got women who are single looking at that, and they're the ones that be like, look, I don't, oh, oops, sorry about that, Shay. I don't know what I'm doing. They don't want to they don't want to be in a relationship. They don't want to date. They don't want to get married. They don't want anything because it's too much drama. So anyway, I'm going to take some guests. I have Mallory over here waiting, but let me put this in here one more time. If you guys are brave and you want to make a comment actually on the show, that link that I'm just putting in there right now is how you just copy that into your web browser. Or I don't know if it's a clickable link from on where you are. I don't know. It's not on my side, but that doesn't mean it's not where you are. And then you can be, I think I can have up to 10 people on here at the same time. So, I would like to hear rather what it is that you've experienced along these lines and how did it make you feel when your guy was relaxing into his femininity? Were you disappointed, hurt? I mean, did you start getting like overburdened and resentful? I mean, what happened? Did you get rid of them? Let's talk about it. So let me see, Mal, you ready to come on? I'm gonna add Mallory to the to the
Hi,
uh
how are you doing?
the stream. She's in here with audio only. So Mallory, what you got to say?
Hi, Miss Deborah. Well, I guess, can you hear me okay?
Hello,
Hello?
Mallory.
Hello?
Start
Hello?
talking.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Oh, you know what? Never mind. Here I am. I forgot to do this again. Are you there, Mal?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot to plug in my headphones.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So everybody can hear me then?
Yeah, everybody can hear you but me.
Oh, okay.
But
Hi,
so
Miss
now I
Deborah.
can hear you too.
Okay. Well, an issue happened with me. This was some years ago. I had just graduated from college and I moved down out of my college town to a new place. I had just met this guy and I met him. He seemed like a real gentlemanly type dude. I had a flat tire on the interstate, and he and his friends stopped and helped me change the tire, bought the tire, changed the tire, and I promised him I would pay him the money back for the tire. And I don't think he really believed me. And then a week later, I had the money, and I called him up and said, I have your money. He came and met me, and I gave him his money back. And then we started talking. But after he had a kid, so I knew that wasn't something that I was trying to really be involved in. So I just said, well, he's real nice and everything. I'm about to graduate from college. It won't make a difference anyway. So I moved down to my new town, got a brand new two-bedroom apartment and everything. He was kind of struggling. He had a kid. He was kind of struggling a little bit, whatever. And we decided to hang out one day. He came to my house. And while I was in the bathroom getting ready, I had wasn't even thinking about it. Back in 04, 05, when you got your direct deposit, you know how they would faithfully send your check stub in the mail.
Right.
Well, I left my check stub out on the counter, and when I was in the bathroom, I could hear him opening that piece of mail that was on my counter. I heard the little crinkly window go crink crink.
Mhm.
That sound of a window on an envelope. And I kind of laughed to myself like that nosy, he in there looking at my mail. I didn't even, it was laughable. So we hung out the rest of the day. He left. I gave him a couple of hours to get home. I called him. He didn't answer the phone. Matter of fact, he didn't answer the phone or return my text for almost 2 months. And I didn't understand what had happened. And then one night, it was around November, because I had just moved to that town. So it was around November. He actually sent me a text out of nowhere. I hadn't heard from the guy. I didn't know if he was dead or what. He sent me a random text talking about, if I asked you to marry me, would you marry me?
What?
And I said, no, I would never marry somebody like you. I said, number one, where have you been for the past 2 months? I said, I didn't know what happened to you. What's the problem? We didn't even, there was no argument or nothing. We hung out, had a great time. He left. And he admitted to me that he said, well, I have to tell you, I saw your check stub on the counter and I opened up the envelope. And when I saw how much money you were making, it made him feel some type of way. And he
Like inadequate?
inadequate. He didn't think he was good enough for me, stuff like that. And I was just sitting there like, number one, You wasn't gonna get any of my money anyway. That's my paycheck. That I You the one that chose not to go to college. You did not want to do homework. According to him, he did not want to do homework. Therefore, he did not go to college. Okay. And so I was like, okay, but we're basically just friends. I said, why would how much money I make affect whether or not you answer my phone call or return my text? You knew I was trying to get in contact with you because it's about an hour drive between where I was and where he was going to get back to his house. I said, you're just irresponsible. You are so self-centered. I said, we can't even be friends after this. I said, there's something wrong with you. I don't even care that you looked at my check stub. I don't care.
Yeah, it
My
looks like
issue,
you don't get none of it.
yeah, you okay, you saw how much I make. I mean, you can't dispute it with my employer how much I'm getting paid. That should not have mattered to you. I was trying to be friends with you, and you pull a stunt like that and then gonna randomly ask me, would I marry you? That's the only so-called proposal I've ever gotten in my
Well, you ain't missed nothing. So,
life.
what happened after that?
Well, we didn't talk for maybe a year, and then one night he hit me up on Yahoo Instant Messenger. That's how old this is. He hit me up on Yahoo Instant Messenger. He was like, "Hey Mallory, guess what happened to me?" And I'm like, "What?" So he started sending me photos of him in a hospital in scrubs. So I'm sitting up here like, "Oh my gosh, look at this. He done gone to somebody's orderly school or nursing something. He's doing something in a hospital. He's all dressed from head to toe, got the cap on, and everything." So I'm like, oh my gosh, look at him. He's trying to come up. So I'm starting to type out my congratulations. And it turns out he was in the hospital he was sending me more pictures. And then he finally sent me a picture of a woman in a hospital bed. And I said, boy, don't be taking pictures of the patients. I said, you're going to get fired. And then he sent me another picture of this newborn baby in a little clear plastic, the clear plastic bin.
Mhm.
He was in the hospital because it was this white lady he had took a picture of. That white woman had just given birth to his second kid, and
Oh,
basic and so he was sending that to me because he wanted my congratulations. And I was just like, are you stupid? I said, you already got a kid you can't take care of. I said, are you going to marry this woman? Oh no, we're not ready for all of that. And I said, okay, so now you got two baby mamas and two kids. Your other baby mama got a baby with another dude too. I said, so between all of y'all so-called adults, you got these kids running around. I said, what did you expect me to say to you? Was this supposed to be like you wanted me to congratulate you because you ruined your life a little bit more? But that's what he wanted. He really thought that I was supposed to be like, oh my gosh, what a sweet little baby. Oh my God, I can't believe you had another kid. I popped his bubble that night,
it's like you
and
idiot.
I haven't really spoken to him since then. I think some poor fool married him. Why she would do that, I don't know. Because I saw the girl he married. I went to his Facebook a couple of years after that because he wrote me, and I told him, stop writing me. I don't want to talk to you. And I went to his page to see what he had been doing, and he had married some girl. He had just married the girl and was writing me,
Yeah, see.
and I was just like, dude, that poor girl.
She set herself up to be a wife. I mean, for him to be a her wife. Because if he's that broke and he got all them kids, his child support payments.
And she's pretty. His wife, she is pretty. I don't know why she married him, but she had a kid herself. So that may have had a little something to do with it. Maybe he's doing better. I don't know. I just when he wrote me, I was like, you just got married. You should be the last person on your mind should be me. We haven't spoken in years. Don't write me again.
Good for
And
you. Good old
and
strong boundaries.
yeah, I just he's just stupid. I'm just like, dude. And the fact, but the main thing about that story was how he treated me after he saw my paycheck stub. But I thought
Yeah,
he was a good
I
guy.
kind of suspected that that might happen because only dudes who are, not really balling cares that much about what a woman is making. If a guy's got his, his ends is meeting, he's not too concerned about what you make. He's worried about himself making more. So,
Mhm. But
girl,
that was
that is
really.
terrible, terrible. Well, luckily you did not fall for it. Just think you could have been married and it would have been you and your wife in the marriage.
Oh my gosh. Because I have a feeling he would have quit working. When I met him, he was working at the Kroger in the meat department, and then he lost that job because he's stupid, and he liked racing in this old beat up car he had, and he didn't have the money to pay the tickets, so he would sit it out in jail. And his bosses got tired of him missing his shifts, and they fired him.
Idiot. All right. Well, I'm going to mute you and then I'm going to talk a little bit more. And I got, thanks, Mel. You ladies, I put the link there for you to, um, if you have something that you want to say and have it be part of the show, please click that link. We can have up to 10 people. And, I'll let you share your story of how you almost got a wife. Let me start by, I want to read some of the comments that people posted on the wall because you guys are just really not in favor of this at all. Who is this? Zan says, this is the reason why so many women choose to be single because they don't want to be husbands. And Miss Kitty said, this is so true. Lots of men want to be treated like women and pursued and courted and kept. And she summed that up because, that's true. Just think about how many dudes they try to get women to pursue them. They want you to call them, they want you to ask them out. They want you to pay for either half the date or the whole date. They want you to pick them up and drive them around like you driving Miss Daisy. It's just they want you to do the work to pick where you guys go because some even when they drive and stuff, they come and pick you up. Right? They asked you out, but then they could pick you up and you in the car thinking you going someplace nice, right? So you dress kind of cute with your little heels on and whatnot. Well, what do you want to do? He says. And you're sitting there like, okay, you asked me out to go on a date with you and you don't have a plan. You think I'm going to tell you what to do? That's how you date. I had one guy did that to me. I said, well, you don't have any plan to know where you're gonna take me and what we're gonna do and how we're gonna enjoy ourselves this evening. He's like, no, I just thought, we just wing it. I said, oh, I winged myself right on up back out of that car. That's what I did. I just, I'm not gonna be wasting my time driving around in circles while you try to figure something out. You should have figured that out beforehand. Um, And so Kiki says, men are generally more into I go after what I want in life than women are, but this is on another level. Well, I have to say, Kiki, that's how we imagine that men are. That's how men are the social role that men would play. That's how they are. But what we're saying is there seems to be a shift from sometime in the '90s to now is when I started noticing it that men are more dependent. They're less secure in themselves and their masculinity. A lot of these guys don't even know how to be men. I actually had a conversation with a guy where I was talking about, he was talking about men being natural leaders and all this stuff, right? And I was like, well, how do you figure that you're a natural leader? Did you come out the womb knowing how to lead people? I mean, where did this fantasy come from that because you have male bits that makes you like an inherent leader? Please explain that to me. Well, he didn't really have an answer. And I said, well, from what I see, the way that, men have dogged out this entire planet and everything and everyone on it, I'm thinking you guys really don't have the leadership skill thing under your belt too well. You destroy things. You're warmongers. You hurt people. You do all kinds of egregious things to dominate and control people. That's what you be after. But that's not leadership. Leadership, people willingly come in behind you because your shit is so wonderful, so inspirational, so beautiful, so tightened together They can see the benefits of it for following you. That is a leader. When you set out yourself out in front and you don't look back to see who's following you or not. So you guys are sitting there demanding submission. That means you're demanding that someone follow you. That's not a leadership. And so I had to break it down for dude. And do you know at the end of that conversation, he tells me, well, if we don't know how to lead, teach us then. He said that to me. Of course, he's still waiting for that to happen. But I just thought it was so, he went from we're born natural leaders to when I just ragged on him and told him all the ways that they're not natural, any leaders of anything, then to telling me to teach him how to lead. I did, I told him there's a couple of videos on my channel about how to be a better man. I start there, but I'm not going to tell him. Yes, he did. Black Phoenix, I'm telling you, this is a true story. I was flabbergasted. This happened about a year ago, and I'm still not really over it. So I just thought it was pretty amazing. And Ms. Molly came back and she says, the reason they want to be treated like women is because their fathers didn't teach them how to be men. Well, you got to look at where we are in the generation. Okay, so you had the people in the 80s, the crack era, right? Those people were young adults and adults then. Well, what's in the dating pool now are their children, and in some instances, grandchildren, depending on how old they were, in the 80s. That's what we have now. So we have a lot of people who are rather dysfunctional. They have antisocial personality disorder and all kind of other learning disabilities and all kind of stuff because of, the damage that was done to them in utero by parents that were, doing illegal pharmaceuticals. So that's what we got now in the dating pool. That's who we're running into. Those are the people who are going to be set up to be the parents of the next generation of children. And it's kind of a nightmare. You're seeing it already. And so Pretty Black Magic came back and said, well, what fathers? These dudes run off as soon as you say you the pappy or I'm pregnant. And she says these males make babies up and down the street and still blame women for their problems and the children that they refuse to take care of. You know, talk about roles being reversed. These dudes are so dusty and feminine. It's scandalous. So you see more and more women, identify that and have recognized that type of behavior. So I'm looking to get some stories from you guys, like Mallory shared hers. If you guys got a story to share, hop on here and share your story. There's the link again for those of you who may have missed it. There's the link. Just copy it into your web browser and then let us know what you got to say. Okay. I got let's see, who's this person? LK. I don't think I know this person, but go ahead. LK,
Hi.
speak.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
We do.
Hi, Miss Deb.
Hey, girl.
I changed my name so it's a little different, but
Okay.
I've been a fan for a while. I just wanted to share a story about how a lot of these dudes think it's flirting to basically say that they're gonna live off you. I work as, I work outside as a canvassing job, and just to get some money while I'm getting my second degree. And someone overheard that I was in school for nursing. So he stored that nugget in the back of his head. And the next time he saw me, he said, I was Googling how much nurses make. And I want to talk to you because it's always been my dream to be a house husband and to stay at home with kids and cook and clean and be taken care of. And I heard that nurses make X amount. And since you're going to be a nurse, and I was just shocked because I'm like, I'm at work and you're saying this to me. And keep in mind, like, the ranges at our job range from 20 to 40. And people just assume I'm in the 20s. And this dude was 40 with kids all over the place. He was like 400 pounds, couldn't walk. So he was trying to whenever he would hear young girls or other female canvassers were like in school for something, he would Google how much that job would make and start trying to talk to them, hoping he could catch one.
Okay, dude, if he was fine, you might have had a chance. You know what I mean? He may have had a chance, but no, not looking like that. Not having all them kids, girl. So what did you say to him?
I said I was just in shock because I'm like I'm sitting there getting ready for my. I'm trying to actually work, and this dude is talking about googling my job, like future profession, because he eavesdropped on a conversation. I'm like, I'm not taking care of you. He's like, I would be a perfect house husband. I'd cook for you. I'd clean for you. I'm like, I could hire a maid to do all that. I don't need to be taking care of a man. Like, no, you grown. Eat on your own.
Girl, not only that, he probably eat you out of house and home.
I
Oh
didn't
my
find out about.
god.
I didn't even find out about the stray babies until later. They're like, oh, he talks to all the girls like that. I can't believe he tried you like that. Like, he has babies all over the country on the West Coast, South, North.
Okay, then that's a story in itself because you have to ask these women, what was you thinking? Why did you do that? You couldn't find nobody better than that. That was it.
I know. Like,
That was the best you could do.
and
I'm speechless.
he eventually left the job because I guess the girls got tired of him and reported him. But like, I just wanted to share that story because a lot of these dudes, they think that's acceptable, and it's not just him. Even dudes in the public we have to interact with talk about, oh, I see you working. I suppose you could take care of me. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm not
no.
taking. But I'm about to let you go, and thank you so much for letting me share
Thank you.
that.
Thank you for calling in. You know, that was good. That was very interesting, and she's right that that's the new hustle. So you guys just think of all the letters that have come in, and but these young girls get tricked up because they think it's their boyfriend, right? The guys play the long game, have them helping them buy houses and all kind of stuff, getting in all kind of debt to support them. And the girl on Tuesday, she got $3,000 worth of stuff on her credit card for dude storage unit, all kind of stuff. That's the ways that they take advantage of women and expect to be taken care of and pampered and all of that. And the thing that makes it so amazing to me is, when I think about a man, I'm looking for somebody who can create stuff, who can build stuff, who can fix stuff, who can make stuff happen. What we have a lot of today are dudes that's like deep into their femininity. They whine about everything and they cry and they just throw little fits like a 2-year-old toddler. It's just amazing. And then they turn around and want you to respect them as men. It's like, how that doesn't even work, dude. You can't expect a woman to respect you like a man when you act like a little kid. That's not going to work. Let me look at my post it notes. Oh, yes, because I was brainstorming ideas. How dudes expect to be given to. They want you to buy them stuff. They'll come into some of them are just real bold and say, well, why don't you buy me this and get me that? Or my other women used to do this and that. Well, maybe you need to go back over there where she is then because you ain't going to get that kind of treatment out of me. I'll straight tell them. And I was married to a man that I spent $500 on his ass. So which makes you think I'm gonna spend that kind of money on you? You might, if I'm on a real generous mood that day, get $50 something. But 500, that'll never happen. I don't even want to buy myself something that costs $500. I'm cheap like that. Or they expect to be taken care of. They want you to put stuff on your credit card for them. They want you to if something comes up, they want you to what's her name say, got to pay your way and your homeboy's way, and sometimes your cousin's way. They expect that too. It's just pretty unbelievable. Oh, Corey's here. Let me get Corey on here. Wait, let me put my headphones back in so I can hear. See, that's what I kept forgetting to do. So I'm thinking I should be able to hear people through osmosis or something. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, let me add Corey to the show. What's up, girl?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm fine. I'm just all ears. I'm all perched on my chair waiting.
Oh, goodness. Well, my story is I have actually a child with a person like that.
Uh oh.
And yeah, we were young. I was 18 and he was 23 because we were 5 years apart. So I had a child when I was 21, and we had been together for 7 years. But I just noticed over time that I was maturing way faster than him. And I was like, oh my goodness. Now that I'm almost about to be 28, it's just the financial burden at this point. But I still love my daughter. I work hard, but I'm very like wealth building minded. And he's like, oh, I can't get a job because of this. Oh, this and that. It's always like some kind of victim mentality. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a mess. It's so difficult dealing with a person like that. Definitely when you have a kid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you
But
poor thing.
yeah, hey, we all
Because you're
live
so
and learn.
young. You know what I mean? You were so young and you had no clue.
No, because I came from middle class, and my dad always took care of us. My mom, they were married. So when I met him, we had like fell out of middle class to poverty. And then I'm like, okay, I think he's gonna take care of his child, and we were in love and all of those stuff. And then it was like, oh my
Way you
god.
said that we was in love.
We were. I won't say I wasn't. I won't say I got tricked or anything. Like, no, we were in love, but it just I outgrew it. And now it's like trying to get him to catch up is really hard. Like, oh my goodness. It's like he's still the same. And I've changed so much over the years.
Yeah, he and how he is, that's he's gonna stay that way. He's gonna be 90 and he's still gonna be like that. Men don't change.
No, they don't. But you know what, there, the funny part is I met a man who actually has money. He got the big $80,000 truck. We were talking. He has divorced and he had 3 kids, but one that was under 18. And he was stingy. Then he found out that because I was a hardworking mother, that he wanted to be a wife too. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Okay.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yes, it was like, what? And the girl he used to date, I mean, she probably worked at the same place I work, so we make the same, but I have an extra job, so I'm getting in the extra 20,000. And it was like when he found that out, he wanted to like, oh, he don't want to pay for things, he's cheap, but I seen him with the other girl. He like blew his money. He was going broke for her. I'm like, okay, and that's over.
Wow. Well, you
Yeah.
good because then by the time he started asking me about paying for something or being his husband.
Oh no, I stood strong in that. I'm like, no, mm-mm. And I had to go ahead and cut it off. I, it was hard. We had the same stuff. We got our own place. We both got 2 cars. Single parents. We doing our thing, and then it's just he started tripping because I was making money.
They always do and start figuring out how to get it from your pocket into theirs.
Yep.
Okay, let me add Tiff in here. Tiff, let me get Tiff on the line.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, loud and clear.
Okay, yeah, like I have to agree with the caller that's on right now. So I'm divorced, and my ex husband was the exact same way. So we both made 6 figures. We moved in together. That's after being separated because he was living overseas at first, and we finally kind of rejoined. We were living in Hawaii. And Deb, it's just so slick how they do it. So, so they,
Girl, I've
he,
been waiting for somebody to call and bust out the game.
yeah. So, I'm like the other caller, came from middle class. My dad kind of took care of things. So I wasn't. He was from Memphis, so totally different upbringing than I was. And I actually wasn't even used to people. I know it sounds naive, but I wasn't used to somebody trying to use me because
Right.
that wasn't my background. So, we got in the household. Oh, I don't mind. We both make enough money. Do you want to split the electric bill or do you want to pay this? That's what he said. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll pay. I think I forgot what bill I was paying, but he was like, "Oh, I'm paying the electric." We got the bill in. His bill is $30 a month because we have a solar panel, and I'm paying everything else, which is over like $300, $400 a month. I'm like, okay, yeah. And we both made good money, so I wasn't kind of tripping, but it did kind of rub me the wrong way. But it just progressively got worse in that, oh, well, you didn't get groceries for us. We're both working full time. Oh, you didn't make dinner today. What am I supposed to be doing? Why isn't dinner ready when I get home? What have you been doing? Keep in mind, I'm working shift work because I'm working in the medical field. So it just progressively got really, really bad.
And you
And
guys weren't married.
we were married.
Oh, you were. Okay.
Yeah, we were married. And I think that's part of the reason. I did come from an intact household. And my mother, I'm not religious, but my mother is still very religious. So, when you ask them for advice, what to do, a lot of that is caped in, oh, just make them happy. Just please him.
That's your job, your role as a
Exactly.
woman. Proverbs 31.
Exactly. Be a helpmate.
Yeah, whatever.
So yeah, so
Yeah,
it did not work out. And keep in mind, like I'm still like in my early 30s, and even dating. I'm in graduate school to get my doctorate, and I'm one of because I'm with a whole lot of white people, and a lot of times they're already married. They already have kids. They're already well established. The minority men, a lot of times they're not married,
Yeah.
and they're interested. And when I'm talking to them, they're still on this. Even though we all make good money, they're still on this. Well, the next one that I get with has to come and she has to bring it. Meaning that the next one that they are serious with, she has to come with it. And every time they say something like
What does
that,
that mean?
yeah, that exactly. It just means that they want her to work for them. They have standards that the woman has to meet. But then when you look at the other people that I go to school with, their wives are homemakers. Their wives are teachers. Their wives are Sunday school assistants. So it is a totally different world, and I'm just calling to complain. That's it, Deb.
Oh, I appreciate it. And it's absolutely the same thing I've observed. Thanks, Tiff. Okay, let's get beautiful orchid in here. Beautiful orchid.
Hello, can you hear me?
We do.
I guess I was just calling to throw in my 50 cents because I thought this
What's that scraping sound?
phenomenon, huh?
There's a sound there.
Oh, I put in on my headphone. Is it okay?
Hmm, something sounds scratchy. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if it'll work better without the headphones. But I was calling because I thought that this phenomenon was kind of only going on in America or um, happening to Black women, especially. But during the pandemic, I got back into some of my hobbies, which one was learning Japanese, which I
Uh-huh.
took when I was in college. So I started studying my Japanese again, and to reinforce the language, I started watching some Japanese television. And it's kind of the same thing over there where men are trying to be wise. Like there's this show on Netflix, and it's called The Way of the House Husband. Actually, there's two shows about the same theme, about this man be, being a house
I have to
husband,
write this
being a
down.
housewife, getting up, making breakfast, making lunch for his wife, and what he's doing at home and around town all day. Like that's the whole show. Him clipping coupons and going to the grocery store. It's
That's a whole show.
yes, like he was like this ex yakuza, and he becomes this house husband, and it's about him transitioning into being a house husband. I also got an app that where I could watch other Asian television on this app, and there were several shows like You're My Pet, where there's this woman that's a Harvard graduate and another man, and they're both journalists, and they're trying to get together, but then these uh dusties, as you would say, are trying to like basically be in relationships for them, and it's kind of like a Bob the Builder build a man up, and like he comes and he moves in her house, and he's basically a bum. She literally finds him in an alley sleeping in a box.
Shut up.
This is I'm dead serious. She finds this man in an alley in a box and brings him into her home and basically treats him like a pet, and he gets to stay there. And I don't know, it's like by the end of it, they get together, and I'm like, why aren't you with the man that's on the same level as you? But they always have the woman that, like I said, she's college educated. She went to University of Tokyo, Harvard, is in the top of her field in journalism, but then she's with this dude that she literally found in an alley. And then there was
Heard
yet
it all now.
yes, there was yet
Every
another
time I
show.
think I've heard it all, somebody comes with something new, and that takes the new position at the top.
There was another show called My Fair Prince, and it's similar. It's the similar storyline. There's this bummy guy. He was literally running away from some people that he owed money to. As she's walking down the street, she started her own gaming company. She's the CEO of a gaming studio, and he, they run into each other as he's running away from some people he owes money. Again, she takes him into her home and then begins nurturing and caring for him to try to make him a prince, which is the title of the show, My Fair Prince. But yeah, it's like the same thing. Like, oh, take a man in, take care of him, build him up, and show him how to be a man. And then one day you could be in a relationship with you. Like, it's like the same thing. And this is the other side of the world. Different culture, different religion, different language, and they're doing the
Okay, so
same
what we
thing.
have in common is that men are being bums worldwide. You know what? This is terrible. Okay, beautiful orchid, you just devastated me.
I'm sorry.
I'm devastated now. I just there's just no hope. This is just terrible. Well, thank you. I'm gonna just mute you if you have something else to say. Just unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you.
You know what, you guys? Just think about this. If this trend continues and men become more and more girly, traditional girly, what does that gonna mean for women? What is that gonna mean for what we call the traditional family? The father with the mother and raising the kids kind of thing, and people playing these certain kind of roles. I mean, I'm all for a couple working out, things that work the best for them, you know, on an individual basis. But this seems to be a widespread push of men towards getting women to take care of them. It's not just a thing where a couple has worked out where, it's the best financial decision. They got a couple of kids, say they was thinking they was going to have one baby, but now they have triplets. And the woman makes more than the man. So it makes more sense for her to go to work or for him to stay home versus them paying, $3,000 or $4,000 in daycare and nanny costs every month. He can do that. So I mean, there's an individual story behind most things, but this thing, these men are planning that. They are looking for a woman to take care of them. I saw a message here, a comment that Michelle, let me see if I can find it right quick because I was talking and she posted something that she had seen today. Uh, online. Oh, well, this is a good comment. Yep. Man, you ain't never lied if that is the truth right there. All right. Let me see. I'm still looking for Michelle's comment because it was really interesting what she said she saw. Okay, here's something that's good. Yes, he did, honey. Tell it, Ocean. That's the part they be missing. See, they want you to be the traditional woman while they you know, are trying to be a house husband and a wife. Uh Shoot, I can't find it, Michelle. Michelle, maybe you could just type it again if you know what it is you said, because it was a really good uh comment and I wanted to feature it. They're wearing color nail polish. Wow. They are. I saw the guy. I went to get my feet done a couple of weeks ago when I was up visiting my cousin, and there was a guy in there getting his nails and feet done, but he got black polish. Uh, he got black, and now he was with his mother, and I kind of looked at him like, okay, what's your story? But it's not like I cared. I was just curious. I'm nosy. I like to know stuff. Um, she says, "Oh, you're probably right about that. At least in the way that we view it now." Taking care of the whole family. Wow, what does he do all day? See, I can't. I cannot with a dude like that. Yeah, they are, Natasha. That seems to be the big deal. I mean, you got to think about it. When a dude, look at this popular question that we talk about all the time, that men are asking women, what do you bring to the table? If that's not a question, um, if that's not the kind of question that a man should be asking a woman ever, the kind of guy who would be a provider and a support system for a family would not approach a woman like that. He's looking at and it's this the what does the Bible say, right? Y'all into your Christianity and stuff, y'all know what the Bible says. A man who finds a wife finds a good thing, right? It's a blessing for him. Don't say a woman who finds a husband is a blessing, because even the Almighty knew better than that shit. Okay, they knew women are about to be burdened, so it's a good deal for men, not for women. So what happened now? Dudes want to be the wife. They're like, well, wait a minute, this is looking kind of easy. This is kind of interesting. But they don't do wife the way that it's supposed to be with all the cooking and the cleaning and all the stuff. Oh no, they just do part of it. They just want to do part of it, with the part where they don't work. Let me see what else. Yeah, I was this is on my note. Where was I? I don't know, but anyway, I'm making notes on my post that I keep in my purse. These dudes want to be a bride to be. Just think about how many of them are there, like in their 30s and 40s or whatever. Some of them is older than that, still living with their mother. So they leave their mother's house and they move into the girlfriend's house, or the wife's house, like young ladies used to do in the Victorian era. They didn't live by themselves. They always lived with a family, a male family member. Even if it was an uncle or a cousin, they lived with relatives because no girl lived by herself, right? So here you got, they want to live with the mother and then go to the wife's house, just like a young lady did, like I said, in old England. So then some of them, what does it say? Oh, to have someone take care of them, right? Oh, and they always needing help. Y'all notice that? They always needing help about everything. Well, can you help me? Can you help me? It's like, how is somebody supposed to depend on you as a man and you always need so much damn help? What's wrong with you? What do you do by yourself? What do you ever put forth the energy to do with other men, seeking their counsel and support? Why don't you go over there to your daddy, your uncles, your brothers, the guys that you work with, your frat brothers, your church brothers, your neighbors? Go over there and get your support from them. I was on this show on I was on this listening to this Clubhouse show, and this young lady was talking about how she how she oops, what am I doing here? Okay, there we go. How she wants to support her man and protect him. Protect him. That's what she said. She said that we as women need to protect our men. And I said, no, we don't. That's not our job to protect men. That's men's job to protect women, children, their villages, their country, their neighborhood. That is men's job to be protectors. That's why they are built with such muscle mass. They're the brawn. Okay, women are the brain. They're the brawn, and they don't. I just have never seen so many guys that's so dependent. And I have something over here I printed out about dependent relationships. Then they expect women to pay, right? They need help all the time. And then they expect you to pay for dates that they asked you out on now. But then they get there, they want you to pay half. I left a friend of mine, like, well, there's a guy, he invited me to do something with him. And I told him I had already eaten. So he's like, well, let's just go to Everett and Jones. And so we drive all the way into Oakland to go to Everett and Jones, and he orders this stuff. And I'm just looking at him, right, because it was like a plate of meat. And I'm like, so, he's eating all this stuff. And then they had some like coleslaw or something. I ate that. So then he was like, well, your half is. He tells me that. I said, I'm not paying shit. I just want you to understand. You ate all that meat, and, I ate some coleslaw that you didn't even want. And then you trying to tell me that I'm going to pay half? You tripping. I'm not paying shit. You got me confused with somebody else. And so then he just sat there, and then he paid. And then as his punishment, everywhere that we go after that, he pays for everything. That's my rule now. I'm not paying for nothing with him. He's like, well, we're going to go and have dessert. I'm not really a big sweet eater. So he want to eat dessert and stuff. And he's like, oh, well, I'm going to order you one. I'm like, okay. So he orders it. And then he's looking at me. And I said, you paying, right? Well, I have to pay. I said, dude, I'm not going to tell you his name. I'm like, dude, everywhere we go for the rest of our lives, you're going to pay. You're going to pay because that's your punishment for trying to pull that stunt at Everett and Jones. That had to be at least 15 years ago. You think I give a shit? I tell you, I have a shrine. I'll build a shrine to a grudge. And so I'm like, I'm not paying shit. I don't give a fuck if it's 5 cents. I'm not paying it. So he knows now. So he don't even ask me no more. He's like, Deb, let's go here and there. I'm like, mm-hmm. And then when the bill comes, he just snatches it because he already knows. I told him, don't. I'm telling you, I could be 110 years old. And still, you gonna still pay. I don't even care if I have teeth to eat it. They gonna have to put my food in a blender so I suck it with a straw. You still paying for it, monkey. I'm telling you, I'm just not. Yeah, I had to put him on. He had to get a punishment. I mean, the severe one for trying to pull that stunt. I'm like, you must have forgot who you were talking to. I'm trying to tell you, Millie. I'll be a straw sucking, toothless, whatever, but he's still buying it, whatever it is. My insure, whatever it is, he's paying for it. Okay, and they expected women to drive. Remember the story the other day? How the dude was driving? The lady was driving. She even picked him up on the date because he said something was wrong with his car. She picked him up, and then he didn't want to put gas in her car. Remember that story that came in on the advice column? And she was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." I'm like, he would have been on there on the corner, hitchhiking his way back or calling an Uber or something. So let me find this. Where is it? Let me see. I want to read you this guy's stuff about dependent relationships, and then I have some stuff I found about being a good wife. Being a good wife. In case anybody's interested. I wouldn't be, but it might be something that you care about in some dark recess of your mind. I'm trying to find. Oh, here we go. Okay, they call it a female led relationship. That is the new, I guess that's the new term. Hmm. It says, with women taking on the careers, responsibilities, and roles once held exclusively by men, romantic partnerships have evolved as well. Women are no longer expected to hold traditional roles in their households and relationship. In fact, many have taken a more dominant role in their partnerships with men. Maybe you have found yourself in a female led relationship or are looking to be in a relationship that fits with your dominant personality. So, this is, oriented towards women. It says women offer unique qualities that can be equally effective in fostering a successful partnership in a happy household. These include compassion and empathy, sensitivity, resilience in the face of adversity, a nurturing attitude, intuition, emotional self awareness, persuasiveness, and inclusiveness. But you know what? If you have women, that might be fine and dandy and all of that. But when we start looking at the demographic of uh, African Americans, especially Black women, what you have is the most religious demographic in the world. The most religious demographic is African American women. Some Bible thumping, church going, Kingdom Hall going, mosque going chicks. Okay, just very religious. So now, if you have people with that mindset, tell me, thanks, Miss Kitty, tell me how they're going to negotiate their minds around to accepting this, because they have the mindset by from their religious teachings that the men are supposed to be in charge. The men are supposed to be, heads of the household and responsible for all these kind of things and take care of the people in his household. He answers to God, his wife answers to him. That's how it's structured. So you have this kind of dynamic where the men who are not equally religious as the women are suddenly faced with men that don't want to step into the role that these women have been raised to expect men to have, to play. How is that going to work? If somebody's got an idea, a thought, you let me know. Let me see what she's saying. She's trying to eliminate child support. For Debbie dads, it's so sad a female to do this. Oh, well, we just put her on Front Street. She's stupid. That won't happen. You know why? Because if you don't want to pay child support, don't make babies. It's real easy. Keep it in your pants, son. Keep it in your pants. Because guess what? In there, it's nice and safe and tucked away, and it's nowhere near anybody's, body to make a baby. It's tucked away, quiet, in the dark. Okay, here's the story for you. He wanted the 2 for $20. The bill came and he asked me for $10. Wow. Okay, so he wanted to go. I guess he was hungry, huh? Because he wanted you to go so he could have him a discounted meal. Oh, that's so sad. Poor child. Keep the stupid. What would we do without him? He is just our comedy relief. I don't think he meant to be, but he is. So this is just really something. Um, this is something else, and I can't find that. Wait, is this it? I'm trying to find the thing. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. Living with someone with dependent personality disorder. And that's what it seems like these guys have. Where they're looking for all this guidance and support and all this stuff. They're looking for the woman to take care of them like a little kid, and it becomes really a problem. These are the kind of dudes that, like, if the woman, they have a baby, right? And so the woman has to put, I mean, infants can't do anything for themselves, especially for the kids nursing. It's like tied to its mother, like for months. You can't do nothing. Here's this baby latched onto you. So a lot of the fathers who have these dependent personality types will get jealous of their own baby. They're jealous of the baby touching what they consider to be their body parts. They're jealous of the time and attention that the woman, has to pay to the baby. They're jealous of the fact that if something happens and she's, sitting with him, talking to him, and the baby cries, she's going to jump up to address the child's needs. They get jealous of that. Well, what about me? That's what you hear a lot. Well, what about me? And it's like, you're a grown man. You should be up helping take care of your child too. But that's not what they do. It's real interesting. And this is something I heard from even, people like in my grandmother's era. They used to, sit around and talk about it. So this is not new. This just with this new switch in society. This jealousy and dependency on the woman emotionally and physically is something that a lot of guys have a problem with. Okay, so it says here, if you want to live with someone with a dependent personality disorder, see if any of these things apply to you, ladies. People with DPD, dependent personality disorder, DPD, rarely live alone. So these are the people who live with their mother forever, right? They don't want to move out. They still live like a kid, and the mama still takes care of them. Their need to be cared for tends to preclude an independent living situation. And while living with someone can feel good for the person with DPD, it can be very challenging for the person they are living with. So, the parents want them to move out, start their life, get out. Remember that movie, Failure to Launch? It's like that. Get out. It's very stressful, living with somebody like that, because they put all the pressure on you to make all the decisions. Now, some women might not have a problem with that, but there's a flip side to that. I've had friends like this, right? And dudes that I kind of went out with briefly until they pulled the stunt. Okay, so they don't want to make a decision, right? They want you to do everything. So, oh, I don't care. I don't know. Whatever you want. They give you stuff like that. Oh, I'll just go along with whatever you choose. Okay, that's a trap. Because then what happens is, so you make the choice, right? Because they weren't going to do it, and something again has to be done. A choice has to be made, a decision has to be made, action has to be taken. So you take action, you make a decision. Here they go. Oh, well, I wouldn't have done it like that. And don't let something happen that went wrong, whether it's in your control or not. See, I knew you were choosing the wrong thing. I knew, that's why I told you not to choose that, knowing they didn't say any such thing. But this is the kind of stuff that happens. That's why it's a trap. They push you into being the one that has to make the decision so that you take any and all heat and criticism of the decision that you were forced to make because they didn't step up. So it's like a double-edged sword. If you don't make a decision, you're screwed. And then if you make one and then they decide that they want to rib you about it, you're still screwed. So it's like you can't win. What do you do with a person like that? I just leave them alone. Okay, here's what she said here. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, there you go. And he actually said it. At least he recognizes what what you were talking about. He can make you decide on stuff and get mad if it turned out bad. Yep. That's why they do it. Because they don't want to be the one that has to make the decision. They seem so childish, Martha. That's because they are. They are. That's why we're making, calling them little princesses, because that's the way that they act. Okay, so these guys, they're just the opposite of self-reliant, right? Because they don't want to make a decision about anything. They want people to tell them what to do. You will see a lot of these guys in the armed services, right? The ones who rise to general and all those kind of things, they just took it because they knew that they would ultimately be the decision maker. But the people that's in the infantry and all them kind of people, these little sailors and stuff, they like being told what to do. There's a whole bunch of men. That's why they join gangs. That's why they be, in organizations like fraternities. They like being told what to do by the ones at the top. Who do we hear whining online? We need a leader. We need a leader. They're followers. They're followers. So it's very easy for them to just cling on to a woman and let her be the leader because they're weak. They are some weak ass dudes. I mean, am I lying though? I mean, think about it. Think about it. And I'm telling you, this is what we see all the time. Okay. In fact, it says they're usually described as overly submissive and clingy. So a lot of women feel like, I have to ask my husband, if my boyfriend, if I can go there and do this and that. And they feel like, it's respecting his desires in the relationship and stuff. What you really have is somebody who's a dependent personality and he wants to have control and monitor you and stuff and keep up tabs with you like you're his mommy and he's the baby. When people are independent, they know how to wait. You can have a life away from them. They don't have to know where you are every second. It's not like that. But if you got someone with DPD, they want to know where you are every second. They get like anxiety if you're out of their sight and they don't know where you are. So a lot of people will chalk it up to jealousy, and it might morph into that in the actual response. But what he's really feeling is insecurity and fear that you're going to leave him. That's what is at the root of that kind of behavior. Now, how they choose to, manifest it on the other end, once it rises to the surface, that's different. But what caused that reaction was fear and insecurity, feelings of rejection and abandonment. Okay, so understand that part. Another complication is the risk of developing codependency within the relationship. In a codependent relationship, one person engages in compulsive caretaking while the other person engages in dependent behavior, causing an imbalance. Neediness provokes caregiving, which becomes excessive and allows for more dependency than ultimately provokes more caregiving. The caregiving/needy behavior cycle becomes destructive in relationships that are codependent. It's a risk involving dependent personality disorder because the need for dependency is already significant. And this happens a lot when, women, okay, your man is supposed to, this is a perfect example. Your man is supposed to wake up at a certain time to go to work. He sets his alarm and then he turns it to snooze and he oversleeps. Okay, now you don't have to get up that early or you're already up and gone, right? For whatever reason, you're not around. He will blame you for not waking him up. It's your fault that he didn't get to work on time or wherever it was he's supposed to be going. Somehow that's your fault. And he's trying to put you in a position of being dependent on you to wake him up like he's 18 months old instead of a grown man with an alarm clock, an alarm on his phone, alarm on his smartwatch, all kind of options. But he wants to make it your fault that he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Like, wow, this is kind of interesting. Now, these are some traits that are associated with someone with a dependent personality. And these are the kind of men that you are going to have as your wife. These are going to be your wife. Yep, failure to launch is definitely it. All right. These are 9 traits that are associated with a dependent personality. So listen to this. If you have a relationship with a man where you're feeling like you're being too overly responsible for him and the things that he's supposed to be taking care of, and you're treating him like the little precious princess that might, is made out of glass that might break, then your situation, he's supposed to be treating you like that. You and your children. He's supposed to be the big man on campus protecting his wife and family, his woman and the kids. But if he's not doing it and he's insisting on you doing it, then you have a situation. I don't know what you want to do about it because some women are fine with being in charge. I wouldn't want to do it though because it wears you out. You have all the responsibility all by yourself. At least with men, the women who are raised like this believe they should be a quote help meet, right? The men haven't been raised to be a help anything. So you, when they decide to pass you that baton, you got the baton all by yourself. Ain't nobody to hand it off to on the relay. There is no relay. You running the race all alone. Whereas, with him, you're trained to be his helper. So you're going to jog up there with him and he's going to pass the baton to you. Then you're going to jog on, you're going to pass it back and stuff like that. So he gets a break. When do you ever get one? When you're the husband and he's the wife. It doesn't happen. You guys better think about this realistically. So these are the traits. These are the 9 traits. One, it says dependent people have difficulty making everyday decisions without advice and reassurance. The key here is everyday decisions. Okay, like, oh, I don't know what I should eat. What should I wear? Honey, does this tie go with this shirt? Stuff like that. They have this terror of being wrong. Says they dependent personality faces everyday decision from a position of hesitation and fear. The difficulty is the terror of being wrong. And we just talked about that, how they'll push you into making a decision so they can become critical of what you decided to do. Okay, let's see. Let me show this comment. Exactly. These women end up with, fibroids, all kind of uterine, reproductive problems. It's just not a good thing for women to be like that. Oh, so she actually had it happen. Well, see, there you go. I just be like, I'm out. You can be late every damn day. I don't care. You can be late to hell, heaven, wherever you going. You can be late there too. I don't care. I'm out. Okay, that was number 1. Number 2, they need others to assume responsibility for many major areas of their life. Aside from asking for help, that's one thing, but expecting that other person to take over the responsibility for you is another. People with dependent personalities give up control of major areas of life to another person out of fear. Life challenges can take on the dimensions of insurmountable difficulties and are therefore seemingly impossible to deal with alone. What might that be? When they start talking about, well, I can't get a job, I need help paying, I need help getting a truck, I need help with my, paying my child support. This woman, she crazy, she want to go to court for raise the child support and this and that kind of stuff. And a lot of you will step in, you want to step in. Some woman, you claim this woman, is bothering him. So you want to step in and run interference. He's supposed to be cheating or whatever. You want to step in and try to deal with the other woman instead of putting all of that back on him. So there's a lot of instances where women do that. You step up and you take responsibility for a grown man. He didn't get it. He got drunk, right? And he lost his driver's license on the DUI. So now you change your whole life to drive him around. No. You would be getting a bicycle, skateboard, a roller skates out of the back of the snail. I don't care how you get there, but I'm not driving you. You messed up your life by driving under the influence. So fixing that is not my problem. Making life convenient for you is not my responsibility. So see, I wouldn't do it, but a lot of women do. And so that's what you've done. You have assumed responsibility for his life. So basically it makes him have to suffer no repercussions. He hasn't lost anything by losing his driver's license because he still gets the convenience of being, actually is even better because he gets chauffeured around now. He don't even have to worry about driving. He's like Miss Daisy. Shh. He was a Dusty. Oh yeah, he's a Dusty. Yeah. They do want to be lazy. They want to be taken care of. That is the new normal, it seems. Okay. Number 3, they have difficulty disagreeing with others, again, out of fear. Have you ever seen that tongue-in-cheek sign that says everyone is entitled to their own opinion as long as it agrees with mine? A dependent person has a variation on that sign. I am entitled to my own opinion as long as it agrees with yours. A dependent person does not feel worthy to express or have an opinion that differs from someone else they feel they need. And you've seen that a lot in groups. I'm telling you, men are just such followers. Okay, so somebody in the group, some dude, will do something that the others don't like. He will say something foul. He'll do something stupid. They don't like it. They don't agree with it. But not one person will speak up. They won't say, man, you out your mind. Don't be doing that crazy shit. What's wrong with you? They don't do that. They just say, man, and they kind of laugh it off like, that's supposed to mean something. They don't have the courage to stand up and be different in a group setting. Men are freaking followers. They want to be perceived as part of the pack. That is so important to them. I cannot stand it. So, you'll have a guy who will do something like criminal or something he knows he's not supposed to be doing. He knows he shouldn't be doing that. He shouldn't be saying it. He shouldn't be treating people that way. He knows he wasn't raised that way. But he'll get around people that want to do something crazy, and then he will go along with it because in that moment, it is more important for him to be at the approval of that group of men, males, who knuckleheads, whatever they are. He wants their approval to be seen as part of that group and that pack more than he wants to go be his own man and do what he knows is the right thing to do. And you see this all the time. That's why parents worry so much about who their sons are associating with, because they know they got a weak ass child and he's so too easily influenced by what somebody else is doing. So they want to, run interference on their sons and make sure that they have the right kind of friends and all this kind of stuff. What you really should do as a parent is teach your children to have a damn spine. Teach them to have some confidence in themselves. Teach them how to respond. And then as they're growing up, if they do something that you told them not to, they should suffer repercussions for that. But these parents, poor parenting. So then your kids get to be adults and they don't know how to make decisions for themselves because you always made them for them. And then if they did do something that was stupid, then you ran and cushioned the blow instead of letting them hit the ground and get a little busted up. They'll rise up. They will rise up. And it'll surprise you how well they rise up. But that's how kids build their confidence and self-esteem. Okay, number 4, they struggle to start projects or do things on their own. Dependent people fear exposure because it causes others to realize how worthless they really are. They fear having failures and weaknesses on public display. So the way that they do that is to avoid taking the initiative. They don't put themselves out in front. They believe they are doomed to fail at a task. They're not motivated to engage in it, and they are instead motivated to avoid it. How many times have we heard that from men, right? Oh, let's do. Oh, I don't know, nothing about that. Or they will even tell you that. Are you trying to be all brave and courageous and go and try something new? They start telling you how it's not going to work and how it's going to fail. Well, aren't you scared? Well, what if this and what if that? And never, always focusing on the failure aspect of something and the risk involved to that would be lost. But it's like, everything has a balance. And sometimes, yeah, there are risks, but the reward far outweighs the risk. And if you handle your thinking process correctly, your planning process, then you mitigate the risk. And then you have a 95% chance of reaping only benefits. That's how you think and plan as a mature adult. You mitigate risks with planning and forethought. Okay? But these dudes, they don't even want to try. Like they feel like they're going to flunk out of school, right? So they don't go back to get their, diploma or GED or anything. They just drop down and that's that. Or, they talk about they want to apply for a better position. They want to make more money, but they don't do anything. They don't go in there and ask for a raise. They don't put together any paperwork to prove that they deserve it. Someone's harassing them at work. They don't do anything about it. They just take it. All kinds of stuff happens where you see that you have someone who is afraid of taking initiative and of, going out in front. I couldn't have a man like that. I'd be so bored with him. His boys and yep, that's what they do. I'm telling you, it's that pack mentality. They are so used to it. They just need that approval so much. It's just really kind of sad. I just don't understand how women got brainwashed to think that men are the stronger sex. They are so not. The only way that they're stronger is physically. And if a woman is like one of them workout queens and stay in the gym and stuff, even that's questionable because she could beat a whole bunch of men's asses. Because just because they're male doesn't mean they have a good balance of testosterone and muscle. Some of them don't. They have really some hormonal imbalances and they're just not like that. Okay, so yeah, they don't take initiative. Number 5, they feel anxious or distressed when they're by themselves or when they think about being alone. So a lot of you think that, you guys have these players, you have these player type of dudes and they have to go from woman to woman to woman. And you think because he's a player and he just got to have all these women. That's not it in most of the cases. What it is they cannot stand to be alone. They can't stand it. They hate it so much. I used to know this guy, he used to hate to eat by himself. And he was, he had all kind of women, but he hated to eat by himself. It just, I don't know, that was his thing. I never understood it because I eat by myself, drink by myself, act a fool by myself, dance by myself. I don't care. I do a lot of stuff alone. But he couldn't stand it. It was like his thing. He just couldn't stand it. So it says they do not feel competent to live their own lives without others because being alone means being unprotected and vulnerable. Dependent people wholeheartedly believe in Murphy's Law that anything can go wrong will go wrong. These dependent men are the ones that want to move in with you right away. It's almost as soon as you meet them. They want to move in. They stay at your house all the time. They stay on the phone all the time. Oh my God, I had a guy like that, right? And we was talking on the phone, and the kind of stuff I do, I need to think. And then, like, if I'm recording, and this is before when I worked for this .com, and I would, record things and edit videos and stuff for our clients. And so I can't be on the phone doing this. I can't hear you and then listen to the client's video and edit it at the same time. I can't do that. And so he used to want to call, and he wanted to stay on the phone for hours. I hang up. Then he wants to stay on the phone, call him in the afternoon and want to repeat the same thing. I'm like, dude, don't you have nothing to do? You don't have anything to do. I have stuff to do. I can't be talking to you like this. And he got so upset. Well, I thought we would bond. No, we're not going to bond on the phone. I have shit to do. Go do some, play with your toes or something. Do something with yourself. I just, Let's see what you're talking about. Yep. You're going to get yourself ready. Yes, it is. Male infants do die. They have a much higher infant mortality rate. Crib death rate even after they're, a little older. And male babies tend to have higher rates of physical and mental defects, like birth defects. So this shows that XY chromosome is fragile. They even have something called Fragile X. So I don't know. I was trying to read about it, but I was like, my eyes start crossing. But yeah, a lot of kids have that, and then they just kind of messed up they have genetic problems too. Okay, number 7. Oh, wait. Number 6, they make themselves responsible when bad things happen. These are the ones always apologizing for something. I always apologize. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's my fault. That's my fault. And it's like, why do you always think everything is about you? Sometimes shit just happens, and that's just the way it is. You don't have anything to do with it. But yeah, they get into that mode, and that's designed to elicit your sympathy and pity. So you go pat them up and stuff, and they get attention and feel like a big baby again. Number 7, they feel responsible for fulfilling the expectations of others. In dependency, the dependent person adopts the expectations of the other person as their own. So when the dependent person fails, they fail to meet not only the expectations of the other person, but also their own expectations. Each failure strengthens the dependent person's damaging judgment of self. So they get into the circle, right, where they're like, oh, I never do anything right. Everything I do is, it fails and I can't get it right. And, I just mess everything up. And they get on this like pity party, right? Again, the goal for you is to step in. And if they keep saying, well, every time I do this, I mess up. Well, then the goal is to manipulate point 1 or 2 to get you to do it because you want to save them from messing up and having to, injure themselves and make themselves feel bad because they screwed up. It's a very manipulative way to do things. So you guys, anybody else got a comment? This is where you log on for those of you who just came on. If you want to get on the show and make your comment, feel free to log on and let me get you up here so you can make your comment on the recording. Number 8, they have a high need for validation and approval from other people. Dependent people crave validation and approval like an alcoholic craves a drink. When validation and approval happen, the planets align and all is right with the world. at least until their insecurities kick in again. So any win, though desperately craved, is suspect as a mistaken at worst or momentary at best. So what does this mean? This is the kind of guys that you have in your life where you feel like you always got to be clapping like Hercules, Hercules about every fucking little thing that they do. Remember me telling you guys about the story about the friend of mine who was giving her husband kudos for going to work, the same job he had before he ever met her. Suddenly it becomes a something that she needs to thank him about. I'm like, what you doing that for? He had that job before he ever saw your face. That ain't he ain't doing that for you. Thanks, Natasha. Thank you. I just, and so this kind of thing here, they're always looking for, some woman to big up them. A lot of them they try to manipulate to have control because that's what that's what makes them feel better. Um, and they need you to tell them how handsome they are, how smart they are. They need to see in your eyes that you approve of, the way they look. They want to know that eggplant game is on hit. So that's why a lot of women fake it because of this right here, because they feel like these dudes have a high need of validation and approval. So, it's always this kind of thing, but you realize how much of a burden that is on you to have a person like that just sucking the juice out of your life. And you got to constantly be, building him back up and talking to him about how wonderful he is and stuff. What are you, two? I don't feel like doing all that. That's just too much. Yeah, they low self-esteem. People with low self-esteem tend to be very dependent personalities. And then number 9, they are unable to create or defend personal boundaries. The only real boundary a dependent person has is to be within the boundary of a desired relationship. Did you hear that? The only real boundary a dependent person has is to be within the boundaries of a desired relationship. Apart from that, all other personal boundaries are fluid and negotiable in order to maintain the desired boundaries for a relationship. They don't want to feel too vulnerable. Okay, well, that's a discussion on that part of that. Let me get the host is here. The host. Okay, you're here.
I am here. This is my first time using the stream. Am I being here? I hope I'm being heard. Okay.
Everybody hears
Okay.
you.
Okay. I just when I'm jogging, I listen to. I'm a new sub, and when I'm jogging, often I listen to your previous shows, and they're so entertaining and informative and just downright funny. You should do
I was
stand up
gonna say, how
comedy.
can you jog and laugh at the same time? You have skills.
To take away the fact that I hate running, but I do it every day anyhow.
Okay.
But anyway, I jog about a mile and a half, about 5 days a week. And what I wanted to tell you is that the topics that you are addressing are some of the things that my mom and I used to discuss years ago, but there was nobody we could talk to about it. And I just love what you're doing and what you're saying. I am just so happy. I'm single. I have no kids. I was an only child. Oh God, this dating cesspool is scary.
Isn't
It,
it?
it's just scary. I just want to share this one quick thing with you, and then I'm going to hang up. And would like your comment about this. I used to work with a lady, and she had a son who was 37 at the time. He was married to a pick-me babe, and his mommy used to buy him sneakers, Air Jordan sneakers, and his mommy was still buying his underwear. Yes, Fruit of the Loom. Yes,
And
I'm
he was
not kidding.
37.
Yes, ma'am, he was 37.
Okay.
And we used to ask her, he's got a wife. Don't you think that's kind of freaky? And she said, well, that's my baby. See, that's why these niggas, I mean, that's why they're like some of that. It's why they're like this, some of that, some of that. And I'm gonna ask this question, I'm gonna hang up.
Okay.
With all of this craziness going on, what do you think is the future of these men, especially Black men here in this country? What do you think the immediate future is going with them? And I'll just hang up. And thank you again.
Okay, no problem. Thank
Okay.
you. I've given this a lot of thought, and I tell guys who I know who are involved in manhood organizations and things like that. That the point, dealing with adult males is kind of too late. They're already what they are. Where they need to start working and focusing their energy on development, education, job training, social skills, things like dealing with frustration, um, rejection, learning how to conduct yourself in corporate America, how to fill out a job application, things like that. They need to start working with young black males on things like that because it's just a downward spiral. I just don't see it getting any better. The people who are doing a good job raising their sons are so few and far between. Those boys are going to stick out like sore thumbs, and if they didn't have a good, background, they're going to end up being real silly out here in the dating world because they're going to feel like all the women are going to be after them because they're going to stand out. Like I said, be so exceptional over the masses. It's something as simple as even knowing how to pull out a woman's chair at a restaurant, take her coat or help her on with her coat. Stand up and let some old lady or some old man sit, the kids, somebody's pregnant, whatever, have the seat on the bus or the train. These men are not being trained to do anything like that. So they're losing all touch of gentlemanly behaviors, and they're losing touch with their masculinity. So many of these guys are like, well, I'm non-binary. I'm this, I'm that. No, you just all fucked up in the head. That's what you are. Just admit it. You just lost track of who and what you are. And now you adopted some crazy stuff. Like I said, they're followers. So this stuff is like a fad. And so here they are following all these different names and all this old stuff here. That just makes no sense. You are a male. Act like a damn man. Just fix yourself and stop all this nonsense. But it's just this is my personal opinion. It does not matter that the opinion of YouTube or these listeners may be different. But I'm telling you my opinion, and I think this went down and burning in hell in a handbasket. That's the direction it's going. If we don't step in and start with the young boys and they're teenagers, by the time they become young men, 2021, it's too late. It's too late. Got to get them young. That's what I think. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to say. I think it's very important. I'll save this stuff about the qualities that make a good wife for another show. I don't want to wear myself out because we got DNN tomorrow. But I think it's important, ladies, for you to, the whole point of this show is to get you to think about what it is. A lot of you come here and you say, I want a husband. I want, dating with a purpose. I want to have a man who, to look that can respect and admire as my husband. Okay, what does that mean to you? Okay, be very clear on what that means so that you don't get caught up like the women in the advice columns that we've been hearing over and over and over and over. They don't have a very clear picture of what it is that they need in a man. So they tend to settle for anything that comes along. If a guy likes them, that's good enough. And it doesn't matter how much of a donkey he is, how useless he is, what much of a narcissist he is, how much he doesn't want to work. He's maybe verbally or emotionally abusive. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that you need to look at. But the number one thing before you, ladies who are, have a religious mindset, start thinking, well, I want him to be a leader in my house. Does this man have the qualities of a leader? Can this man think? Is this man decisive? Is this man responsible? Is this man accountable? Is this someone who makes a decision and he can take the heat or the kudos, whichever one he's going to take him fine on the chin because that's who, he's a tough dude. If that's what you need, then please don't settle for less. Don't get with some guy just because you get to a point where, you see this guy and he claims he likes you and stuff, but he doesn't have anything. He ain't about nothing. He doesn't have the work ethic that you have. He doesn't have the money that you have, or even half of it. He got all these miscellaneous stray kids and baby mamas all over the place and stuff. And then you go and you move this clown into your house and then you start supporting his lifestyle. You're treating him like he's a kid. You're supporting a grown man. Why are you doing that? And it's especially bad. You have a lot of, it's getting to be ready to be cuffing season. The homosexuals is going to be out thick. Okay, trying to find somebody's house to lay up in over the winter. Be very careful. A lot of women get these housing subsidies and stuff because they got a couple of kids and they don't make that much money. These dudes love women like you. They see you as just like a victim waiting to happen because if they come in and pay all the rent, you getting a $2,500 3-bedroom condo, townhouse or whatever for $500 a month. Well, he's gonna feel like, well, if I pay the 500, I'm still, living large because I got this nice place here. They got a pool on the complex and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And he's living in a place and living a lifestyle he would never be able to afford to live on his own. But he's only doing it off of you. And, you could lose your housing voucher messing around like that. You and your kids would be, I know this girl lost hers with some Dusty. And now she living in a converted basement in her uncle's house because the house was too small. So they converted the basement into a room for her and her 2 kids. So they be out there freezing and then baked alive in the summertime. But that's the best she can do because she lost her housing voucher. And once they kick you off for, fraud and stuff, you don't get it back. So she's just going to have a fucked up life for the rest of her life because she doesn't make that much money. She's not that educated. So, you guys need to think about this kind of stuff, especially if you got kids. What a message are you showing your children by moving these dusty men in? Your sons are looking at these men not working and you're taking care of them. What message are you sending to your son? And your daughters are seeing this. You working 2 jobs and slaving and cooking and all this stuff. And then the dude is just sitting there chilling and relaxing. What message are you sending to your daughter about how she should value herself if you're modeling that kind of behavior for her? I implore you all, who are parents especially, please think about what you do over your kids and what kind of men you as mothers bring over your children. It is equally, I can't even say it's, one gender child over the other. They're both going to learn bad lessons from you having some dusty ass bum in your house that you taking care of. And I don't care if you married to him or not. It doesn't matter. He's a dusty bum and your kids are looking at that. Your kids are learning to value themselves and what makes a man, what makes a woman, and how they're supposed to be treated by watching you. If you cannot do better than what you're doing, having your man in there being your wife, then get you some therapy, okay? And I'm being serious right now. I think a lot more people need it, and especially after all this COVID stuff, people are stressed to the max. And a little therapy might be very helpful for you to help you get back on track and feel good about the path that your life is going to take post COVID. But you got to do something. Please think about these kind of things about the men that you're bringing into your life. You don't help a man. You don't let a man move into your house. If he wants to live with you, he needs to be providing a roof for you and yours. Okay, that's it. He can't afford to do that, then you don't get with him. That's just the way it is. But that's my take on it. I don't know what else to say. If you guys have any questions about this show, feel free to write them in the comments below. I do try to pay attention and kind of check in on the comments a couple of times a day, most days. And I will be happy to respond to your questions. If you have something that you want to send in for an advice question, because that show will be again next Tuesday, look in the show description down below and you'll see a link that says get advice or submit here to get advice question answered. Click that link and fill out the form and submit it. That we do that show every Tuesday. It's usually about 25 selections that are of the letters that we receive that week or the last couple of weeks. And then we read them, and just like I did tonight, I read them, and then I respond to them on the air live in real time. Tomorrow, we will be here with the Dusty News Network, our collection of memes, graphics, and comments and posts of dusty men and women from all over the internet. You guys do a great job of sending in stuff. We have a few more shows of this season. It's just a summer show. We don't do it all year long, but it will be, the last show will be the end of September. And then we'll be going into our regularly scheduled educational content, okay, to get you back on track and make sure that you kind of like homosexual repellent as we head into the winter months. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming and sitting in on this very different topic. A very necessary conversation, though, to kind of bring awareness to the fact that our society has changed considerably. And this is something that we all need to battle against in our young boys to make sure that they don't grow up and be these kind of men. I'll see you all tomorrow night, okay? Right here at 6 p.m. Pacific. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that subscription button. Talk to you later. Bye bye.